Hello, everyone, and welcome to ATL Falcons UK. We are on a third win of the season, so we've got more smiley faces again, which is a great start. Makes a change for the last 4 seasons we've been doing this. Everyone seems to be in a good mood, so we're going to run through the weekend's win. We're going to look at the schedule ahead because it's looking pretty friendly for the Falcons at the moment. And then Mark's got a really lovely Mariota rant that he wants to get involved in. So I'll just sneak peek that for you all. We are also joined by Will McFadden today, who's been on a handful of times, and I'm sure anyone that's on Falcons Twitter well knows who he is by now. So thanks for coming on, Will.
Yeah, excited to break down a really, really fun game. The best game of the season by far for Atlanta.
Oh, no doubt. Best game in a few years, in my opinion, because I've struggled for the last few years. So, but yeah, in fact, let's just get straight to it. Mark, you're in a good mood, so let's go to you first, and then we'll jump back to Will.
Cool. So, I think this week has been a major plus point for us this season. I think it was kind of a bit of affirmation, right? Because I think we've all been in that kind of headspace this season of, look, we're fighting for every game. And it's wonderful to see. It's so widely reported how much dead cap we've got, how many elite players we've let go. And, as the weeks roll on, I kind of feel like Arthur Smith kind of continues to get validated. And that for me is such a wonderful place to be. I've kept faith with Coach Smith, and there were even rumblings throughout this off season that we overachieved last season because we had a really easy schedule, and this season's going to be different because we've got a really, really harsh schedule. And I think the more that we see, the more we're kind of realizing that Arthur Smith is absolutely growing as a coach, because he is approaching these games a little bit differently than what we seen last year. And I think that kind of has to come down to the QB, which, as Danny's just said, I'll talk about later on, but also kind of adapting to our situation and adapting to the talent on the roster that we've got. So I kind of have to start off by saying I think this week, agreeing with Danny, has to be kind of, and Will as well, as he's just said, kind of one of the best wins that we've seen against a top defense. And I'm not going to sit here and kind of take the 49ers were banged up. Yeah, well, we're 70 million and we've just paid 70 million in dead money. Don't tell me that the 49ers are banged up. Like if you're I think it was the 4th defense in the league coming into this game, well, then you should be able to beat a team that is literally pieced together. Not even with duct tape. Like this is like parcel tape right now. And that's where that's kind of where I think that a lot of the opinion preseason, which we all heard, this is the worst roster in the NFL. Everyone said it. Worst roster. Everyone was sharing worst roster in the NFL. Well, it fucking isn't. And I don't care. And I'm sorry, but this week kind of proved that I think the importance of coaching and the importance of culture, like you hear it a lot, right? But I think that kind of feels to me like this was the kind of penultimate show of kind of coaching and culture over any level of fucking talent. And I think, Arthur Smith said in yesterday's press conference, I think it was, okay, well, I told the boys, we'll have beers if you win the game and go for 100 yards. And you could almost sense, listen, I play for a very amateur English Brit ball team over here. And Diaz, after the game, is kind of all we live for. right? Seeing that kind of proved to me that we've just got a different animal in the building right now. So I think that it wasn't so much about the win. It was the way that it was done. It was the team togetherness that we've seen. And it's kind of showing that even through adversity, Arthur Smith is taking this franchise forward in more ways than we kind of ever thought were possible at this stage.
I'll take that. I will take that. That was a very profound last line. That actually hit me right in the field.
I'm like a modern day William Shakespeare.
Lovely stuff. Will, what were your opinions on the game? Any high points that you want to point out or anything? We'll try and stay positive whilst we can.
Oh, for sure. Love a Billy Shakes shout out. So nice. Love post game beers. I played rugby at UGA, so very familiar with post match beers and all the friendlies with that sport. But yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. It really highlights this coaching staff's ability to, on the schematic side, I think they've done a brilliant job of just it. Like, we talk about it a lot here in Georgia, and for years it was viewed as a negative with Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech running the triple option, because it's not a fun brand of football if it's the only thing that you do. The Falcons are incorporating it at times that feels so much fun and fresh, and kind of the benefit of doing it in college is because when you're not able to recruit with the big boys, schematically, it gives you an advantage because it allows you to kind of win throughout the week. Each day, the other team has to prepare for so much stuff that they're able to fill each individual bucket as much as they would against a team that kind of does one or two things really, really well. And so the Falcons just make teams have to digest a, Cheesecake Factory sized menu of possible options. I have no idea if they have that across the pond or not, but people over here will get it. It's just a massive amount of stuff you got to digest. And that is really helping them put the players in position to succeed, because the defense doesn't really get a great read on what's coming. And then on the other side, it's the culture and it's the building the players. They've got a lot of guys here on one-year contracts. So they knew that the motivation was not just going to have to come from the coaching staff. You have a financial incentive to put together your best stuff, to work on your off hours, because this is kind of a do or die moment for a lot of these players. And so I think we're seeing that kind of come together in the best possible way. Now, they do have the third, I don't want to say cheapest, but they've spent the third least on their roster in the NFL. And with injuries starting to kind of mount up a little bit, AJ Terrell, Casey Hayward dinged up, some guys on the defensive line dinged up. We're going to see, all right, what is this depth like? Because the depth is young. But we also did see reasons why that can be a positive and a big benefit, because if they're able to coach these young players the way that they have with some of these veterans, then this team absolutely can compete in a really weird NFC year. But they have been amazing, I think, offensively in squeezing every little bit of juice out of this offensive lemon that they've been given. And it's really, really fun to watch. And I mean, I never thought I'd have as much fun watching a team that only threw the ball 14 times in a game. But here we are. I mean, it's so much fun to watch.
It is. Just coming off the back of that, sorry, when it went 14-14, did you have a moment? Did you think we were going back to our roots, or were you pretty steady? Because I think we're about a 50-50 split in the boys that run this.
You know that answers yes. You know that answers yes.
Oh, heck yeah. It's so much fun to get back to all of it.
Do you think that like, kind of relating to your point, that squeezing that little bit of juice, is it more impressive that we're doing it with CP out, which I think is a massive piece of what has become Arthur Smith's offense. But the fact that, we are activating guys like Caleb Huntley, like Pruitt, who managed to get, do you, like, I don't know, because I can only speak for as long as I've been watching the NFL, but ever since I've been watching the NFL, I've never seen a team just activate guys off the practice squad, and then they're like, okay, cool, yeah, we'll do that.
I think what you're getting at is this scheme kind of name proof? Like, can it work with anybody? Is it a plug and play type of scheme, or are the guys stepping up to a great degree? Like, that's kind of what you're getting at, right? Is like, are these guys that they're the next man up or just playing out of their minds? Or could you or I get in there and kind of get some yardage?
Well, that's kind of the basis of football, right? Like,
I definitely couldn't.
Like
but
next man up. That's how the Steelers have operated for.
Well, yeah, and I think I've never made this thought before, but actually, as you were talking about Arthur Smith, because that's the main takeaway here, right? Is the players are going to come and go, but the key lesson so far this year is that the coaching staff, I think you've hit on. And Mike Tomlin is a little bit of the person that doesn't get the credit for year over year. Just they have such a high floor of competency, regardless of who is in there. I would say that to answer your question, the running back maybe matters a little bit less than the offensive line. I would be able to give you a better kind of answer to this question and understand more how this offense, where the engine really is located in the car. Is it in the front or the back? And I think right now it's in the front, and it's the offensive line. So if they lost Elijah Wilkinson or, Drew Dahlman or, God forbid, Chris Lindstrom or Caleb McGarry, like, then we'd be able to understand, all right, is this truly a plug and play scheme? And the stuff that they're doing is just so similar looking until it isn't. And inherently that is going to make a defense play on its back foot all the time. It may be that, but it may also be that with a great offensive line right now, which is why the Falcons are doing something that they haven't done since like 2006, which is run the ball so well for 6 of their first 7 games. I think that it's certainly an interesting question, and one that I'm trying to pay attention to as well. My answer would be, I think the offensive line has been more the driving factor. We've seen less of the explosive run plays, I think, since CP is out. Like, the Falcons have still been doing a decent job running the ball efficiently and effectively, but they only averaged like 3.5 yards per carry with their running backs. On Sunday, it was Marcus Mariota's ability in the run game that really still gave them that explosive element. But
frozen a little bit. I don't know if you've lost him, but I've lost Will at the minute, Liam. But I don't know if you want to pick up on the running back point, kind of backs onto a point that you made last week.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously knew we were going to have to do something a little bit different again with
Sorry, I had to remove my tortoise from the room. Apologies.
I think I don't know exact carries each player got, but I think they were very even in terms of what I was looking in terms of Huntley and Algier. The number of carries, I don't know exactly what it was, but they seemed to be getting a pretty even number of carries. So that was a nice little 1-2 hit that we sort of carried on with throughout the game. And whilst none of them sort of neither of them set it alight, they were both very, very efficient on all the runs. They run hard and gained those sort of hard yards that we just kept us chipping away at times. And obviously Mariota's runs. On top of that, we moved the ball very well. I think he's back.
That was weird. I could hear you guys, and you were like, "Oh, he's gone," and I was like, "I'm still kind of here." But anyway, I refreshed it. But yeah, I was pretty much finishing at my thought. I think it's just more offensive line than it has been.
Yeah,
kind of
it backed on nicely to a point that Liam made last week in regards to our running backs and how. Although there's no stars, it's kind of a bit more diverse for a while and things like that. So we just kind of
there's no stars anyway.
Well, anywhere.
Like we have to. I think that's the that's the wildest thing about what we're going through right now. And I tweeted a post from our account where it was. I'm not sure if it was Good Morning Football or it was one of those kind of shows, and like you've got guys out here, and I think it sticks out more because there are so many teams in this league, like, and even Tom Brady, and I'm not complimenting the motherfucker, but even Tom Brady came out and was like, "Oh, there's some bad football going on and stuff like that." And I think there are so many teams that have dysfunctional offensive lines. To see a team like the Falcons, who are so, as everyone said, talent poor and everyone like that, Yeah, we're keeping receipts, motherfuckers. Yeah, all you motherfuckers. But I think that's where the surprise is, because he's taken these. I mean, we all knew Jake Matthews could play. We all knew that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know where the center was going. Obviously, they've had to bring somebody in to cover for Jalen Mayfield, and he's done a fucking fantastic job, FYI. And then you've still got Lindstrom and McGarry, who during that draft, once upon a time, we all sat there and went, well, we hope these guys can solve our problems, because we all said the only way to help Matt is to get a good offensive line. Well, this offensive line works this scheme beautifully, right, Liam? Liam, I know you've watched the film from last week, and the offensive line was probably the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, the O-line, I've always said the O-line is not. It's never too much. It's never really about individuals. It's a unit. It's a team. It's a line that works as a unit, and when you've got that chemistry, you can run it like that, and you don't have to have superstar or linemen to actually make it work. You just have to have that chemistry and that sort of that brotherhood and just.
Oh, don't say that word. Don't say that word.
Brotherhood. Not that one.
In a while.
The new brotherhood. Yeah, they've got, and that's what they've got. Obviously, Jolman's sort of new to it. Obviously, Wilson's sort of new to it, but none of you wouldn't look at that. I mean, you even look at Matthews and say you wouldn't say he's a star. He's been obviously under the radar for many, many, many years and just been solid year after year, hasn't he? None of them are stars. They just work well together at the moment and work well in this scheme with a different style of running back. So I think it's the it's working in the run game. Same with our running backs. None of them, even CP, certainly before the season, you won't look at him. He's a star running back. Nobody would have said that. So it's obviously working in the pass protection and in the running game. We're creating gaps. Players are just running hard through gaps that we're creating. We're not doing anything really special in the running game in terms of we're not running trick plays and all this sort of stuff and sweeps and things. We're just running the ball hard and it's working. Yeah.
Well, no, it's so interesting because you're right. They're not running trick plays, but I talked to Chris and Jake actually after the game and asked them specifically because they were running, I noticed a lot of pistol formations, which is not a true shotgun, but the quarterback is kind of halfway between the center and the running back with the running back still right behind him. And I was like, what does that do? What's the benefit of running out of the pistol? Because it's not something that we had seen up until recently a whole lot in the NFL. And basically, it allows for two things. It allows for the two-way go still for the running back. Because usually if you're in shotgun, the running back is either to the right or left of the quarterback. And most of the time, they're going to run to the opposite side of the formation. So the defense has a tell. So it allows you to keep that two-way go, which then the second part is it keeps the defensive line honest. How many times have we seen before a snap, the defensive line just shift one gap to the left or to the right? And a lot of times people are probably like, okay, well, what are they necessarily doing there? They're keying on the strength of the formation and where they think the run is going to go. So therefore they know, okay, if it's going to go to this gap, I'm better positioned to be here, which makes the offensive line's job harder because the defense kind of knows, all right, there's like a 70% chance you're running to this side.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and get a head start over this way and make your job much harder. The Falcons are doing a really good job of neutralizing the defensive line's ability to do that. And so they have to stay in these honest kind of looks, which the Falcons then get the advantage when they're going to make the reach blocks because they know where they're going. And then when the Falcons do get into true shotgun, what have they been doing? They've been motioning back like two fullbacks and a running back, and they're in this weird diamond formation. It's like they're making the defense hesitate to give the offensive line a head start, which is something that a lot of teams don't really do a whole lot of. And certainly the Falcons haven't really done a whole lot of that before the last couple of seasons. So maybe that's a little more insight into how the scheme is impacting the talent on the field and making these guys, look a whole lot better than we've seen them look previously.
So, Danny,
go on.
This kind of feeds into where I was going to go. And I'm happy for Will to stay. I'm actually quite interested to see how Will kind of. I think this is your opportunity to have your segment because so So there's two parts to this take, and your motherfucker's going to clip this anyway, right? But I personally want to take this opportunity to apologize to Marcus Mariota because I've been his biggest fucking critic over the past couple of weeks because he continues to try and lose us games over the fourth quarter. And I want to apologize for one main reason. After this game, you need to keep it up. But I think that I have been probably overly harsh in the respect of he needs to execute better. And one thing that I seen this Sunday is that he executed better. So first of all, apologies. You played well. If you watch it, which I'm sure you probably fucking not. But
I'm sure he's been walking in the changing room thinking Mark from ATL Falcons.
No, there is. Yeah. He's going to be tossing himself off. And second of all, so this is a take of two sides of the coin. From what I've seen over the past two games, I think that it is getting increasingly obvious that, and I'm happy for this to be argued, Arthur Smith has realized that one of the main weaknesses of Marcus's game is that we probably shouldn't let him throw the ball a lot, because I think that's his main weakness, given the fact that we've only got a certain amount of weapons. I think that's fair. We're getting a lot of success running the ball, and we've got games to win.
Yeah. So
I think that it is fair to say that one thing that, and I give this credit to Arthur Smith, not to Marcus, is that he has taken the ball out of Marcus's hands a little bit more because he's realized Marcus's limitations a little bit more. And I think that Marcus's ability to throw the ball limits this offense. I think we are probably going to find that out quite quickly this Sunday against the team where it's probably going to be a shootout. I think we're kind of lucky that the Bengals D-line probably isn't as rough as it would have been against San Francisco. We are, however, going to be facing a lot bigger deep threat and a lot bigger passing threat. So I do see this weekend being a shootout. So firstly, just to sum up, and just for the purpose of everybody, one, I'm kind of sorry, Marcus. Two, it's because you're a bit shit. And I think that your coach has saved your ass and made you look very good because he's realized your limitations, and then he's taken that limitation and maximized the offense. Will, discuss.
No, I mean, I think you are getting to the right idea while maybe still being a little overly harsh on Marcus. But that's fine. That's totally fine. We all have our opinions. I think that the Falcons starting off 14-0 in that game shouldn't be discounted in this conversation, because we don't necessarily know how the game would have evolved if it had stayed in more of a neutral situation. Now, when they got it back to 14-all, then it totally became a new ball game once again. But the Falcons were in a better position, I think, to reassert themselves on the ground. And that is what they're going to do. Like, anytime the Falcons, I feel like, think that their back is a little bit against the wall, I expect them to turn more to the run game. It's safer. It's easier. It plays into their style of football a little bit more and how they want to do it. And I do think that it plays into Marcus's style a little bit better. We also shouldn't discount the reads that he is having to make in the run game as well. A lot of times the ball's in his hand with the option to keep it or give it. and he's been making the right reads for the most part. There was it was 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 where they did that triple option look again. He kept it. I thought he probably should have given it, but like quarterbacks are even going to mess those up a couple of times in the game of the NFL. Even the best do. Like it's just a really hard, fast read to make. The Cincinnati point is interesting because I was watching rewatching the Saints-Bengals game before this earlier today, and the Saints ran the ball on them. And a lot of times you go into a game with an offense that looks red hot, and you're like, all right, our offense is going to have to keep scoring against them. The Falcons are actually the one that kind of provided the blueprint for no, you don't have to when they played Kansas City a couple of years ago, and they held Kansas City to like 17 points at the end of the year. And then they did that again with Buffalo. It's actually a little counterintuitive from a game scheming standpoint, matchup wise, to say, all right, we're going to try to keep up with your strength. Like that's how we're going into the game thinking about it. If I'm Atlanta, I'm saying the Saints ran the ball really, really well. The Saints want to identity wise, though, still throw the ball. Like that is still kind of their
that fucking shit.
Right. But it's like that's still the spine of their offense. The Falcons are going to just run it, and not get bored kind of taking a profit on the run game. And so I think that they will say, we're going to put together 11, 12 play drives, keep Cincinnati's defense on the field, get them tired. Cincinnati, because they want to go 5 wide, that's much more volatile for as good as they are. And that is their strength. And I have my concerns about, matching up with them individually. A couple of drop passes, one pressure in the dude's face, and that's a 3-and-out really quickly. And then Atlanta gets the ball back, and if they can go 10 plays down the field, boom, 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 field goal, touchdown, now it's 10-0, 14-0. Now the other team has to throw the ball. Now they're becoming one-dimensional, another quick 3-and-out, and you see how it really quickly spirals. And yes, that team is offensively capable of making a comeback, but you can kind of determine what they are able to do. And I think the Falcons did a good job of that actually against San Francisco, because San Fran didn't run the ball like at all. And that is their identity. That is their bread and butter. And so, yeah, the Falcons in kind of limiting Marcus did play into their strengths. But I think that in certain game situations, like they're comfortable leaning on Marcus. They've seen that. I also wonder about their ability to get open and some of these things and make it easy.
Yeah,
I think it was the game situation more last week, but Marcus did everything they needed him to do. That won't always be the case, but we certainly saw what this team can look like when it is.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for Liam and for Danny. So we've got quite a big game against Cincinnati this week.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we hope that AJ is going to be fit, because I think that's going to be a big part of it. But I think, and I'd like to hear your opinion, I think that given even the talent that Cincinnati have on the O-line,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, despite that talent, Joe Burrow has been on his arse fucking so much this season already, as was the case last season. I feel, and I'd like to hear your opinion, I think that this game is going to be won on that D-line against the Bengals O-line.
Go on, Liam, but that leads perfectly into all of the comments that are coming in at the minute, because just to dip in. Go on, Liam. I'll pop them up as you go.
I think, I mean, sort of in my opinion, any sort of every game is sort of won in that area. That's kind of obviously like the trenches, as they call it, and who gets the advantage there tends to sort of not always win the game, but it tends to have a huge starting block with the dominating the side of the ball. But I think we have to do it long enough to cover. We know that obviously we know what threats they've got. They've got many. Like we know that Burrow's got the ability to find any of them. So we're going to have to be a little bit creative in that. Now I don't know whether we're sort of going to go for try and cover. Probably not, because we can't. So that means maybe we're just going to send a lot of blitzes, try and get panic a little bit. that's maybe where the angle we're gonna have to go out and just restrict them, get in his face a little bit and put the pressure on and make some bad decisions, which Burrow, he's very, very talented, obviously, everyone knows that, but he does make some bad decisions now and again. We've got to try and get him to make lots of them, I think, and otherwise they are going to be very difficult to stop. But I would say that we can put up a decent amount of points against them. I don't know how many, but I think we can put up a decent amount of points against them. So I don't think we're going to have to sort of restrict them to really, really low numbers. But I think it's going to be a very, very tight game. The Bengals haven't sort of...
Every game's a tight game at the minute, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah. I think we have said that pretty much every week. We've said it's going to be a tight game, to be honest. But I think the Bengals, everyone expected them to be a really very, very good team. Again, maybe haven't been as good as people expected them to be, but obviously they set the bar pretty high with the Super Bowl appearance and everything. So it doesn't surprise me that they've taken a little step back. But I think if we've just got to carry on doing what we're doing, and I think, like Will said, sort of the in-game looks that we're giving teams, it doesn't really matter that they can see that on tape or watch that on tape. When we actually put it into practice, it can change. We can run different things, and I think that's where we can be a little bit creative against teams like the Bengals, and just try and sort of keep the ball churning with the running game and just keep Burrow off the field. The longer we can keep Burrow off the field, the better. We know that if they've got a lot of time of possession, they're gonna put us some points because they've just got the quality to do so, and they've got the run game on top of that to hurt anybody. So we can keep our time in possession quite high. Keep their defense on the field, tire them out, run them hard.
Which we kind of felt like we did in the second half against the Niners, right? It kind of felt like the drives, like as we ran the ball and we ran the ball down their throats, it wasn't fair. Big yardage. It was just chains moving, right?
Yeah, and that is very, very effective against the defense. That he's desperate to get off the field at some place. Even the best defensive linemen and defensive ends can only do so much consecutively. Like you have to start putting in other guys, and if you just exhaust them, play after play after play, it works. And Huntley runs the ball hard. Algier runs the ball hard. Difficult guys to bring down, like those linebackers. Like you can only, how many times can you bring a guy like Huntley down time after time? It must be exhausting. No, do it once and done.
Almost like you couldn't stop him for 4 yards, you couldn't stop him for 6 yards, you couldn't stop him for this, and it was like all of a sudden it was like 2 and 4, 2 and 5, or 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, whatever, and it kind of put the offense in a good spot, right?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's just being efficient. Every sort of, every coach's or offensive coordinator's dream is to have, these 2nd and 2s and 2nd and 3s where the playbook is just anything you want to do. So that's the dream for anybody. So if we can put ourselves in that position with one hard run, if you remember the times of where we used to just run straight up the middle. I don't like to talk about it too much. We run straight up the middle, get 1 yard, 2 yards. That was horrible because we put ourselves in the back on the back foot every single time. We're not doing that anymore. We're getting those 5-6 yard runs, and we're getting into a position where we've got the options to run options, and then we're just staying on the field and throwing. We've got players like, as I mentioned it on Sunday with Zacchaeus and players like that who are nowhere like the stars of the team and never expected to be, but he just gets in holes when we need him to do and picks up these sort of 15-20 yard games. Every single game he seems to get a few of those where he just pops up in the right place at the right time, and that hurts teams because they're expecting us to run the ball while they're expecting us to do these options that we've been running all game, and then we hit them with a 20-yard, 25-yard game to a receiver that nobody really expected to throw to. They're obviously looking at Pitts in London all the time. So
getting in there as well. It's been quite a varied scheme, hasn't it? And I kind of sit here, especially ahead of the Bengals, and I'm going to ask you all the question because I know we've only got Will for a little amount of time because we've already run over. But so I'll start with Will, right? I think the key player for us against the Bengals is going to be Ebiketie. Discuss.
Okay, why do you feel that way?
I think that the pressure that we get on Joe Burrow is going to be absolutely indicative of how this game goes, given the Bengals O-line as they have been performing, how they've performed for a long time. I think that he was the absolute focal point of the pressure against Jimmy G. I actually do think it would have been different had Trey Lance have been there. I think he might have been a bit cleverer in the pocket than Jimmy was. But I've been so impressed. I mean, like I think I'm more impressed by the fact that we've just got defensive end who a pass rush now. Like it's almost it feels so long since we had one. But like I think that from what I've seen against San Francisco, I think he kind of already feels like kind of quite a key part of that defense now.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see him getting to Joe Burrow at least once on Sunday. So that's my kind of that's my opinion. And I'd love to hear yours.
I mean that's totally valid. I'm just curious because like I'm trying to think of so situationally and from a position standpoint, like Ebiketie is probably going to be rushing most downs, right? Like he is the outside linebacker that's they're usually going to send one of those guys as kind of the 4 that they're going to rush.
Yeah.
But you know, earlier you expected maybe a blitz heavy kind of day from Dean Pease, which my mind then goes to somebody like an Isaiah Oliver or, you know, maybe a Richie Grant or kind of somebody in the back part of the defense coming up and making that play. So not saying you're right or wrong, because I definitely was very impressed with Arnold Ebiketie.
You're free to agree with me. I mean, I'm a little bit drunk now, so
no, because I'm always
say anything, and I'd be like, okay, cool.
I'm always fascinated because that it tells a little bit about how you think the game can play out, right? Like anytime, that's why X Factor is such a fun question, I think, to ask. Not necessarily because you want to hear about a specific player, but it's like, okay, you think that this could be the key to some aspect of winning this game. So that's all the reason I was asking. And I think that when it comes to the defense in this matchup, my big question is, are the Falcons going to kind of play it like they did against the Saints or like the Rams? Because against the Rams, it was a lot of zone. They were relying on a lot of their 4-man pressures, keeping things back. But we saw Matthew Stafford comfortable against pressure. And, the Rams were in a similar situation, gave up 5-6 sacks in week 1 against Buffalo. Offensive line was a major talking point. They like to really do 5-man protections. The Bengals do as well. So a lot of similarities. The Falcons chose to we're not going to let you hit explosives, but you can have some room in front and we'll make the tackle. Did they do that against Jamar Chase, against Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and all these guys? That's a lot of good players to tackle. Or do they come up and get in their face and say, we're going to bring 5 or 6 guys on every play. We're going to hit you in the mouth at the line of scrimmage. And then we're going to run with you for 2, 3, 4 seconds, hopefully, because our pass rush is going to get home. I have no idea. And that's why I'm fascinated to figure out the answer on Sunday. But yeah, that's a little bit of I think Arnold Ebiketie will be involved in whatever plan they choose to interact. I weirdly think he'll have more success if they are just rushing 4, because I think he's a really good inside or outside in rusher. And so we'll set up that arc and then go inside. Sometimes it gets a little cluttered when a lot of guys are coming through those gaps. But Ebiketie played really, really well and kind of was one of those young guys who stepped up along with Troy Anderson, Darren Hall. These young defenders on the defense, I think, can really be good for this team moving forward. And I'm curious because it's such a one-sided test, I think, in this game. The Bengals defense has been great, but I feel very good about where the offense is. So it kind of comes down to Cincinnati's dangerous offense against Atlanta's kind of, what exactly are they week to week, but they are something. We just haven't really figured it out yet.
I think my big concern coming into this week is we were good this Sunday. Absolutely, we were. The passing defense, for the most part, and I think the big game that stands out for me is the Saints, obviously in week one, which still fucking hurts. Is just that ability for a team to kind of gain that 10 yards, 20 yards over the top when you've got as many weapons as the Bengals has, it makes me nervous, right? And I think rightly so. And I think
they just did it against the Saints, so you're right. Like they can do that.
I think the Bengals have earned the right to be nervous against their wide receivers because like they're fucking unbelievable. But hence why I like kind of still project this opinion that I think that the blitz against Burrow is going to be so important because we need to knock him off his stride because we've seen Joe Burrow get knocked on his arse 6, 7, 8 times a game and him still be able to throw an absolute bomb to Jamar Chase or whoever, you know, and so like I say, I think our pressure to the quarterback is the most important part of this game because listen, you know, I seen Joe Burrow come through that college year. We all did, right? And everyone thought he was Trevor Lawrence before Trevor Lawrence was there, and that all worked out really well for everybody. Like the guy was unreal on probably one of the best college teams anyone's ever seen. But he has just got that connection with that offense. And I think the only chink in that offense is that offensive line.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Sorry, Liam, there was just one thing I wanted to add, and then Liam, it's all yours. But the Bengals do also go 5 wide a lot, which is one way to prevent against, ironically, the blitz as well, because it forces a defense to literally declare what its intentions are beforehand. So they're doing things that are a little bit like not recognized as a great way to help your offensive line, but they do small things that really do help their offensive line, which is if Ebiketie is going to be involved, I think it's going to be a little bit more in those 4-man rushes than the blitz packages. But it's certainly one way that I think Falcons would go. Liam, it's all yours, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Liam's our analytics guy.
Yeah, I mean, we got. It's like you say, this is very, very hard to predict. Not just how it's going to go because we don't even know what we're going to do. There's clearly options in front of us in terms of how we approach this game. I would hate to be the guy coming up with a strategy for this one, but I think one key is going to be if we can keep up that run game. The Saints ran the ball a lot, and Kamara, who hasn't really been very good this season by his high standards, was pretty decent and had some good success against them. I think he went for over 100 yards. I'm not 100% sure. He's in a fantasy team, I should know.
I didn't draft him.
But I think we've got to do something similar. We've got to probably be quite run heavy, and I think based on that, we'll probably end up running it close. As I said, just make Burrow. The key for me is just make Burrow, make them beat us. Make him have that game that beats us, and we know he can have that game with the receivers. The receivers can have that game, and Chase could get 2 touchdowns and 150 yards, and it will just look normal. But we've got to make them do it. Let's just not beat ourselves. The good teams are good teams for a reason, but there's no point. If we let them win, then what's the point? Let them go big, and then we'll see what happens. If we lose, we lose. But keep the pressure on and just work with what we've got, like we have done against every team so far, and keep that sort of same attitude and drive that we've been showing over recent weeks, and see how far it takes us in the season. Never mind just this game, to see how far an attitude can carry you, and we could carry us pretty far. Bit of confidence behind it. A few more wins over the next few weeks, and they'll start to have a little bit of self-belief. I'm sure they do already, but even more so.
Yeah.
So, it's exciting. We all said it was going to be an exciting season, but not really for this sense. We just thought it was exciting because it was different. No, I said Mariota was going to be exciting, not because I thought he was going to, not because I thought he was going to be good, but because I thought he was going to be different, which he is. We've not had. I started following the Falcons in Ryan's first season, so I've had nothing else.
That fits the QB in a long time, right?
We've never had.
That's kind of it.
Yeah, we've never had a more. I'm not going to say Ryan wasn't immobile, but we've never had.
Will definitely is mobile.
He's been immobile for quite some time.
And I've never, I've said Matt Ryan was drafted in the first season I started watching the Falcons, and so I'd never seen anything else. So that's why I was excited, because we'd seen something else, obviously, on a regular basis. But I wasn't thinking that Mariota was going to be a success. Because
it's all right. He's not watching. Liam, it's fine.
But just in case.
So just before we let Will go, because he's been on way longer than he agreed to. Will, I'm interested. We'll do this bit first, because we usually leave it to the end of the show. What's your prediction?
I actually felt really good about the 49ers game. I thought that was a game that the Falcons certainly could win. And I think that this one is too. I think that the Falcons don't have the volatility that a team like the Bengals can have. And I totally get where the Bengals are, because it's kind of where the Falcons were in 2017. And because of that, I really think that the Falcons will do enough to slow down their offense. And I think that Atlanta can win this 31 to 24-ish, something in there.
Okay. Very well, nice.
I think they're going to be able to run the ball really well against this Cincinnati defense that is a good defense. It's a really good defense. Their defensive line is rock solid, but they are better pass rushers, I think, than necessarily run defenders. And for that reason, I think Atlanta, if they can convert in their red zone opportunities like they did on Sunday and on third down, they were 8 of 10 at one point on third down, finished 9 of 14, 4 for 4 in the red zone. If they can do that again, they can score in the 30s against teams, even though they don't seem like as explosive an offense as a Cincinnati or Kansas City or a Buffalo, but they're such an efficient offense. The numbers will be there. So even though they run the ball, don't let that fool you. They can score. And then I think Atlanta can do enough on defense. They've shown that they're confident in making the big play, turnovers, stops on fourth down, that type of stuff, that I like Atlanta here in this game.
Okay.
And we like you, Will.
Thanks so much.
We don't tend to get a lot of positive fixture predictions when we do them. It's usually me and Mark saying a win and Liam and Cal saying a loss. So nice to have it balanced.
Well, it's been so wonderful to have you back on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, as always, for your analysis, which is far superior to anything I could offer. So we love having you on.
And when we do become this year's Bengals and we get to the Super Bowl this year, if you guys in the media can sort out the tickets, that we're happy to bring translators with us. It's fine.
No, I think we should just hold the Super Bowl in Tottenham Stadium, right? Let's just do it over there.
Great idea.
Makes perfect sense. You've heard it here first. If it happens at any point, Will's on it.
Will, thank you so much for this evening. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, guys.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Hopefully speak to you on the next Victory Monday.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Right.
That was amazing.
Lovely stuff.
So we got some comments, Danny, right?
Oh, absolutely. Plenty of clips. With Will being gone, I'm going to broaden the show a little bit. I don't know if either of you saw what we posted out earlier from Mike Clay from the NFL. He did a fixture difficulty schedule evaluation sort of thing and highlighted what teams he thought had an easy run in and a hard run in, and he's placed the Falcons at the very, very top of the list for an easy run in. I was just wondering what you boys think of that.
I thought we had the worst roster in the NFL.
Exactly, but now all of a sudden we've got the easiest run-ins. Very suspicious, isn't it? But yeah, I just wanted your boys' take on that in terms of how the season initially started. So people were putting 2s and 15s and 3 and 14s and things like that. We win a few games and all of a sudden it's actually our schedule that's easy and not our ability that's improved. I just wanted to get your spin on that.
Liam?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a case of our ability has improved. I think well, not the abilities that improve, but the players are playing higher than their expectation from anyone, certainly the fans. Schedule, it's one of them, isn't it? Where they do all this ridiculously complex algorithm that works out the strength of schedule that nobody even really understands, and it just goes into.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it, and half of the outcomes mean nothing to me. Like I don't know how some teams are placed where they are, but they are. So, and
I think this is the NFL. This is right up there with the most sort of unpredictable leagues in world sport. Let's say, we know sort of an idea of who's going to be pretty good and who's going to be pretty bad, but everyone's sort of in the middle of that. It can go either way. Teams can make a run to the playoffs, or teams can just flop. Like it can easily happen. So I wouldn't want to say 6 games in, who is a very weak team and who's a very strong team. I think it's still a week to week sort of thing. We've seen so many surprises and a bit of roller coaster season, and nobody's really. Who would you say sort of? Obviously, the Eagles are from a winning perspective are the ones that are sort of striding, but even still, nobody really put them as the best team in the NFL before the season. So the teams that are really good, I don't think they're that good.
Liam, I think the interesting part of this is, right, looking at that schedule right now, if we lose against the Bengals, which if you look at the schedule as a whole, you'd kind of go, Bengals is probably an L. So
that's fair.
We're going into next week against the Bengals, going, well, even if that's an L, if you look at the rest of the schedule, you kind of go, whew. I mean, teams that we thought were going to be good.
Yeah.
What like one that jumps out at me straight away, Chargers. I thought the Chargers were going to be unbelievable this season.
Yeah.
And they are shite. And their quarterback could do anything, and they've got some injuries, etc., etc. But they are not, they are so badly coached in comparison to the talent that they've got on their roster.
Yeah.
And ironically, we're kind of the opposite, right? So I just can't help but look at that schedule, look at some of the teams and go, I mean, the Bengals are really only one of the ones out of that list where I'd be like,
okay.
I'm not scared of anyone right now.
No one at all. No one on that. No one out of the remaining fixtures other than the Bengals.
Well, I mean, I'm not even scared of the Bengals.
Well, no. Fair. So, all right, let's do a quick run through and just give me a quick win-loss. We won't break it down, but I'll just read the game out.
So when Danny does this, let's do this separately.
Yeah. Let's do that. I'll run through the rest of the fixtures. Liam,
because you're a negative Nigel, and I'm not.
Yeah. Okay, so Bengals next week, win or loss?
Who's going first?
Go on, Liam. You can start them and Mark can
follow. You start us off, Liam.
Loss.
All right, fuck it. Win.
Okay. Okay. Panthers the following week.
Win.
Win. Yeah.
Chargers.
Win.
Loss.
Okay. Panthers again.
You're fucking wild. Win.
Yeah, win. I think could do
Okay,
both of
that's
them.
fair. Chicago.
Win.
Yeah, win.
Okay.
Oh, don't let the Justin Field nonsense fucking give you any shit about this.
He's
It
more
was
of a sense
definitely
that
right that we didn't draft him. Like let it go, Liam. It's fine.
it's more of a case of where that's the team we're expected to be, and they're the ones that I feel like we.
No, fuck it. I'm 5-0 at the minute.
Okay. Commanders.
Win.
Loss.
Okay.
You are
Pittsburgh.
high as fuck.
We don't. Your schedule here is taking us deep into
It is taking us deep.
I think we're going to be home 1 seed.
The only high answer I gave was against the Bengals.
Okay.
I mean,
So I'm at 6 wins, Danny. Go on.
6 wins out of what I've read so far. Is that what
All
you've
of them.
so far? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on a 89 with 4 games remaining. So Saints.
Win.
Win.
Okay. Baltimore.
Loss.
Loss.
Okay. Cardinals.
Win.
Loss.
And then finishing off the season with the Bucks. I think.
Loss.
Yeah. So, Mark, you'd
Win.
have
I'm
us
gonna go win.
finishing the season on a tasty little 11, yeah?
Playoffs, baby!
We don't need that wild card spot. Okay, I didn't tally yours, Liam, but I think yours.
I think
probably...
I said 3 games less than Mark. So
okay, so there's still. I mean, that's 8 wins would still be a fair turnaround for what people anticipated of us at the start of the season. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Just to back onto that.
If you're living in Liam's negative world, that's that's and ironically, that's more than Liam and Cal said we get.
No, it's not.
Ooh.
I'll get that clip out. I said 8 wins at the start of the season.
Oh, fair. Okay.
Get it? Well, we'll pull it up.
We'll dig the clip out. I'll get our pre-season one up and put it alongside.
Well, if you said 8, I
might have even said 9. I might have even said 9.
Okay, I definitely didn't. I think I said about 7, so I might have been the low baller. I think
if Liam said, if Liam said 8, I must have said about 12. Cal probably said like
minus 1. Yeah.
Okay, just on the back of that, then we did a poll at the start of the season, asking how many wins we thought. Well, everyone thought we would get. 30% of people said between 0 and 4. 48% of people said between 5 and 7. 17% of people said between 8 and 11, and 5% said 12 or more. So we reran that poll today, and even though it's not finished, we've had a pretty similar number of votes. So 54% of people now think that we're going to finish between 8 and 11 wins. So that's jumped up a staggering percentage. That's jumped up not far off 40% following the first 3 wins, which is fair, but still bold. 11 wins, like you said then, Mark, would still mean us winning 8 of the remaining games, which is no shabby performance.
And really, we should have beat the Saints.
We should have.
Yeah.
We came in a hair's breadth of coming back against the Rams.
Yeah.
And because Brady shags the refs, we didn't get a chance to try and come back against the Bucks. So even if we go right 1 out of those 3, going. Like, it's a whole different conversation.
It completely. I posted this the other day. I said we're sat at 3-3, which any of us would have probably
Any
taken
of us would have
anyway,
taken, yeah.
if we're honest with ourselves. However, if it wasn't for our own incompetencies, it would have been 4 wins, because that Saints one was on us. They came out of nowhere, blah blah blah, but that was on us. I can't argue it any other way, really.
But maybe at the end of the season we look at these at those incompetencies and go, it was just Arthur Smith learning lessons.
Maybe it was. Maybe they were needed to produce what we're performing like now. But then you look at the other games. So we lost that Saints game by 1 point, which is sickening.
The Rams game by like 3 points, wasn't
it? Rams by 4, 31-27. And then where are we? And then the Bucks won by.
Don't even talk to me about them motherfuckers. I don't want to fucking know.
And then an unnamed team by 6. So when you look at that, in comparison to our last 2 or 3 seasons, we've taken some hefty losses. So even when we're losing, we're not being outplayed as such.
Imagine, and you can clip this, by the way, Danny. But
hit me.
Imagine ruining your marriage and being on the same record as Marcus Mariota.
Oh wow! I need to put that on.
Imagine, and you can clip this. Like, I don't give a fuck because he's not going to fucking say it anyway. Giselle.
Imagine if we got a strongly worded email.
Imagine.
We're getting sued.
No, we're not going to get sued because it's the fucking truth. Imagine going, nah, I'm just going to go back to playing football and fuck my family off. And being on the same record with 70 million cap debt.
It's heavy. That is heavy.
Mariota, Tom, bro.
Oh, mate.
Just tell him you're injured. Tell him you're injued. And no one's gonna care. Tom.
Yeah, you're
all. Knock it off. Like 28-3, like no one cares anymore, bro.
No one's catching you. It's over.
Tell the divorce lawyer to fucking pay and just fuck off. Like, you don't have to do this anymore, Tom. It's okay. Nobody blames you, but Marcus Mariota, bro.
Oh dear.
Clip that shit. Right. What else have we got, Dan?
Right. We won't carry on for too much longer. However, we've had quite a few comments asking about kind of backs into what we've just done as well, where we think we're going to be draft picking this coming season. In which case, what we think we're going to do with the money that we get for free agency and where we'll be picking in the draft. So if either of you want to do a little overview each of that, and then I'll hop in afterwards.
I mean, at this point in the season, I think it's really difficult, right? And even if you see us picking in the middle of the road, I think we can all agree that, CP next year, despite contract or whatever, we probably need that running back scheme to come together.
Yeah.
I've seen some talk of, I think it's the guy from Texas. I can't remember his name.
What
Liam, do you know who I mean?
Do you mean running back?
Yeah, the running back.
Bijan Robinson's the big
yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So I've seen a couple of mock drafts already with us going with him. Very physical, very not size wise, but in the way that he plays, probably very Derrick Henry.
He's very good.
Yeah. If that's what I I don't know anybody else, but I'm kind of like at the point now where once upon a time you could kind of predict what positions we need.
Yeah.
Come next year, I don't know if he's going to look at some of these guys from this year who are on like 1-year deals or whatever and just go, fuck it. I'll give you another year.
Yeah. Well, some of these boys are brought in to play for the careers, and at present they're doing it. So
Robinson looks like a kind of Arthur Smith running back. So as much as well as Algier and Huntley have done this season, I would not be disappointed if he was the guy. If we are picking middle of the road, you never know. There's still a potential that we're picking high.
yeah.
I guess. And I suppose that also kind of depends on how they see Ridder doing.
Yeah.
Which is also another conversation in the background. I think we're kind of almost too early in the college season to
identify and to place ourselves in all
because
fairness,
we've got like in our heads, I guess we've got needs everywhere.
Yeah, I think we're in a position, like you just said then, kind of just to come off that a little bit, that in previous years we've gone, we need O-line, we need D, we need this, we need that. At the minute, because we're not very talent heavy, so to speak, there's anywhere would be an improvement. Technically.
Last year, we all went, we are talent deficient in all of these areas, and then they picked a wide receiver.
Yeah, tight end, wide receiver, blah, blah, but yeah, we talked it until the cow came on and it meant nothing.
And at first, we were all like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, Drake London's been fucking brilliant. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's one of them, like I'm almost, and it's so fucking weird because I'm just almost in that kind of headspace of, I trust Arthur and Terry, just go and fucking get him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. I mean, Arthur, first time around, always was I correct in thinking that he said he was always just going to go for best available anyway? Best on board.
Yeah.
I don't think he's necessarily stuck to it because it's obviously all an eye test, but I'm pretty sure he said that early days. So if he stuck to that, it's irrelevant which positions we locate ourselves.
Yeah. I'm gonna hit Liam with a quick question, and I know that Danny probably won't be too deep into it. Liam, if we're picking in the middle of the second round, sorry, in the middle of the first round, and Ridder's not the guy, could Anthony Richardson be the guy? From the game
in the middle,
because I don't think he's going to go top 10. No, but from what I'm hearing, he's kind of like supposedly the next Lamar.
I'll be honest, I don't really rate him that highly. I think it's proper dodge. Okay. But there's a few guys around that sort of middle mark, quarterback wise, that people would put there.
If number 4 is not the guy.
Oh yeah. But I mean, how would we know? By that point, I guess it's a case of what we see in practice and things. But if he hadn't got a chance by that point, I don't know how we can make that decision. But if we did think it's going to be a case of I would imagine if we're going to get a quarterback, even if it's around the middle, I think it'd have to be a case of where one of the sort of the top guys falls rather than one of the middle guys is just there. I think otherwise we'll go somewhere else. If the obvious choices are off the board where they're expected to go and we're in the middle, I think we'll leave it. If one of those is still there by some kind of surprise, that'll definitely take us because
this is, and like I don't feel like this is the draft to kind of because it feels kind of QB heavy.
Yeah, there's quite a few, definitely.
But QB heavy that fits our scheme is also another question.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you a thoughts on who I'd like to see drafted, and I guess obviously it completely depends on position in the draft. And I think based on, to cover the question as well, sort of who I think would be an awesome free agent that is due to be available, but obviously things happen.
Yeah.
I think
Taylor Moore! I didn't say that.
In terms of the draft itself, I'd love to see like Jalen Carter from Georgia alongside Grady. And when I can't remember when was the last time Grady had somebody sort of competent and next to him, I can't remember. That imagine Jalen Carter and Grady in that on that defensive front, it would be absolutely ridiculous. Like there would be nobody stopping that. Nobody. Like
you're gonna have a lot of Georgia boys licking your prick right now. Everyone's like, "Oh, Falcons don't draft Georgia boys."
I'm over to Alabama talk while saying it, so that's certainly impartial.
How dare you come on to this show in Alabama?
Disgraceful.
And then in terms of the free agent side of things, no, I'm fairly sure this guy got franchise tagged this year, and he won't be franchise tagged next year. It was this year. Is a guy we're going to come up against very soon. Is Jesse Bates at safety from the Bengals. He's an awesome player. I'm pretty sure he's available. Well, he's due to be a free agent in 2023, as far as I know.
Indeed, I've got it on my phone now.
Is it? Oh, there we go. I mean, obviously, there's going to be many punters after him if he does actually become available.
But we got the money.
We got the money to do so.
$100
I mean, we've got some decent safety group, but I don't know whether the options we've got are elite. We don't know what Grant's going to be like, and we don't know what Hopkins is going to be like long term. So I think bringing somebody like Jesse Bates in would just be an instant upgrade with an experienced guy who's just got pretty much every tool in the book. So I think that's who I'd be. I mean, there's obviously a lot of free agents that we could look at with the money that we should have available, but that's the guy that I'd be looking at and thinking if I could take one now, I'd take him.
Okay.
Any more comments, Dan?
I was just going to have a quick nosy now, see if there's anything groundbreaking. I think we've pretty much covered all of the spicy bits of anything. We've not had much controversy today. We've all been in a very good mood. So has anyone got anything off the cuff that's a little bit more against the grain? Because if not, then we can keep it happy.
I think it's fair to say that after such a good win, and it probably was one of our best wins, that we're obviously kind of up there a little bit, and especially considering the overall position and how bad our division is. That's certainly inputs into it.
Yeah.
I think we're in a really good space right now to show the importance of coaching, the importance of culture, as I said before. Yeah. And also, I'm sorry, we're better than the Saints and Bucks and the Panthers.
No. Yeah.
And fucking quote me on that. I genuinely think we've got more about us.
Yeah.
So I think he has a fucking spicy take for you. I think we're going to playoffs.
Okay.
Given the schedule that we've got, and I will, but that's up to them. Do you know what I mean? I think we've got the ability to.
Yeah. Whether
we do or not is a different matter entirely. But for once, it's just fucking wonderful to watch a team that gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And I've got a good friend of mine who's a Cowboys fan. She's like, "Oh, Dan Quinn's doing this and Dan Quinn's doing that, and you know all that shit."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, he couldn't do it of a franchise that he was in charge of. So, fuck that guy, you know.
Yeah.
And Dan, like you can see the difference week in, week out against, you know, from Dan Quinn to Arthur Smith, and I kind of just feel like we're a franchise on the up.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree.
Even like even if we get like 7-8 wins, and it's, you know, and that's it, I don't think any of us will be that unhappy.
No. And I feel like it's a bit of a weird one to say, because at the start of the season I wouldn't have said this, but I feel like this year it's much more in our own hands now than it has been previously. The last few seasons, the Bucks have been substantially better team than us. Reluctantly.
Yeah, but the Bucks just fire sailed, and then just spent all the money on everything. And don't get me wrong, you know, like fair play to them. Like they just went win now.
Yeah.
And they went win now, and they won. And,
exactly. But that's cool, what I mean. But... So they were always going to be better than us after that. There was no way that we could have matched that in the position that we were in terms of financially, coaching, players on the roster at the time. And then the Saints were also in a similar position, not in terms of throwing money at it, but they were in a good part of their evolution.
You know, like last year we all went Saints are fuck next year, and they restructured a load of contracts. Guess what, guys? They're fucking 60 million over the cap next year.
Yeah.
Like
what you gonna do about it? They're going back to where we've just been. So
I just kind of feel like we've got an organization that are in the process of going, we've started again. Even when we started again, what did we finish last year? Like 9 and whatever.
We had 2 7 and 9s. No, and then last year there were 17
what did we
games
finish last year.
Did we get 7?
I think it was more than that.
Why can't we remember this? This is terrible. 1 second.
I thought it was 9.
It might have been. Oh, it would have still been No, we didn't have a positive. Nah, can't have been 17 games. Can't have won 9 games. I've still not seen a winning season.
Well, I know you and Cal like to fucking repeat that shit while playing your.
It was 7 and 10 last year.
7 and 10, right? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that took a while. Yeah.
So even if we finish the season,
we better that now.
8 or fucking 9. I think we can all agree that I think by the looks of the schedule, we're gonna Arthur Smith with a harder schedule, supposedly at the beginning of the season, which we all talked about. We're still making progress on, you know, like it's almost like garage VHS been kind of talent, you know, and you know, if that's what we can do with what we've got now, then it's a majorly different conversation next year. Like fucking hugely different.
No, absolutely.
It is, absolutely.
Julio Jones is going to be begging to come back. You're going to be hearing his hamstring creaking into the facility.
Oh dear.
Fuck that guy as well, by the way. So listen, I think that we just need to take every week as it comes.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, and you know everybody knows, if you follow us on Twitter, how bad I am for saying things and then jinxing us almost immediately. It's incredible. It's actually a talent at this point. I tweet something, and less than 2 minutes later, whatever I've just said just goes to shit.
Right, so but we can still make predictions, Danny. We can still make predictions. So come on, give me a prediction against the Bengals.
I think.
Let's finish off the show with.
I think we beat the Bengals by 1 touchdown. I think we're beaten by 1 score. I've not got a nailed on score, but I'll probably both sitting in the 20s, I reckon, because I don't think we can stop them consistently, nor do I think they'll be able to stop our annoying play style consistently. So I say we'll beat them by 1 score because I'm on a positive roll at the minute.
Come on then, Liam, tell us how much we're going to lose by.
I feel like I have, in the absence of Cal, I have to.
Oh yes.
All right,
I have to
Well,
provide. Otherwise, I'd definitely have gone for a win if Cal was here. Definitely.
lying bastard.
I'm gonna say that we lose 24-16.
Okay, that's not heavy, but it'd be our biggest
Liam
loss.
came onto the show and chose violence.
He did.
I'm going to say that we win 39-35.
Wow, so
okay. Go on, note them down then, Liam, and then you can add mine if you would like. I'll go for an actual scoreline then if we're all doing it properly and staying consistent.
Well, we always do it properly. Well, I don't know why you didn't do it properly.
Because I'm scared.
So that was, what was that, 39? Was it 39-36?
You don't have to be scared when Cal's not here.
Was it 39-36? Mark.
39-35.
35.
I don't even know how that score can be accomplished, but fuck it. That's
Origami.
About right. I said by 1 score, but I've not done the maths either. Stick us at 27.
21.
Yeah, stick us at 27-21.
27-21. Okay.
Or there or thereabouts.
Yeah. It's not as if we're going back and checking them.
No, nobody's got the time.
I've got it on my phone
all the time.
Matt's coming down 27-25. Close game.
That would be a close game.
Close game's what we do, though.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. All right. We'll see how that goes. Just whilst we're on the comments and stuff again, we've already thanked him in the comments, but I'm just going to jump on Ben's comment. Firstly, thanks for finding us and actually watching us because all we do is waffle. And secondly, how lucky is that to your first game as a Falcons fan, basically being Pitt's first touchdown ever, which is stunning. Me and Cal were devastated. We hung around after the game and we went down to the side of the pitch where a few fans, and I mean a few, not that many, and some guy with a fucking Green Bay jersey on caught one of Pitt's gloves like 2 people away from us, devastated. I nearly fought the kid for it. He was only about 12.
I would have jumped from.
Honestly,
I would have jumped from the top rope and.
I know.
And just
honestly, I was this close from getting my wallet out and saying, "What do you want?" Because it would have been fine with a $5. But no, that's it. Thank you for following us, and obviously, thank you for watching our content and stuff like that. Hope you're enjoying the excitement of this season. Makes a nice start for you.
In summary, I think, look, we are as positive as we can be coming up against a offensively difficult team.
Yeah.
And, come what may, even if we don't manage to get past the Bengals, I still think, our schedule looks quite nice.
Favorable.
So I think even when we come back next week and talk about this, the Bengals result, I think we've still got a lot to look forward to. So,
I agree.
And Ben, listen, if we get to the playoffs, we're gonna hot off the press, gonna organize a meetup.
We are.
For the playoffs. If we manage to get there, so get your dancing shoes on. Anything else?
Go on. We can expand on that a little bit. So Mark suggested before we went live tonight that should we make the playoffs, we will arrange a little bit of a meet up in a location that suits the audience. Have some drinks, have some food, watch the Falcons game, and get it together. We would like to do that more often, but obviously we're spread across the country, so it's a bit of a hassle. However, should we make the playoffs, I'm sure that's well worth the graft. So keep your fingers crossed. And we'll try and replicate what we all got in London last year when we all got to meet each other properly.
Yeah,
So
it was awesome. Yeah,
we'll try that.
Yeah.
I know it was really good. Coming off the back of that, we are debating jumping our shows back onto podcasts as well, because a lot of you have been saying that they're good for drives, and obviously you don't always have the opportunity to watch them on YouTube and things like that.
Yeah.
So should you think that is something you're interested in, drop us a tweet and let us know. And obviously the more people that fancy it, the more likely we are to go back towards it. It is something we can do. Obviously, it's just we want to make sure we're catering to everyone's needs. So if you'd rather a podcast than a YouTube show, then go for it. And as Paul said in our tweet replies, he won't have to look at any of our hairlines if we do it on podcast again. So
go on, man.
I mean,
I'm
you
full
must
of
be talking about you motherfuckers, because my fucking hairline's all right. I don't know, like,
Right,
fucking.
Literally,
I mean, I need a trim at the minute, but mine's fine.
I said this at the time. I think Paul is possibly struggling with his own hairline issues. And what we have to remember is it's very hard getting old sometimes, boys. So we wish Paul the best. And,
good luck, Paul.
you know, Paul, I hope that one day you can find peace with how big your fucking forehead really is. Because it's not our problem.
It is not. It is not.
And for me and my massive eyebrows and my very small forehead, I'd like to say, go fuck yourself.
Lovely stuff. Talking about some changes in that. Sorry, Mark, just going to jump in.
Right.
Matt said, need more merch. Mark, that is something you've been looking into recently as well.
Yeah.
Mark may have found us someone willing to do us some mugs, and I don't know what else, Mark.
It's mugs.
So
But we've got some other big announcements coming.
We have.
Which relate to that.
Yes, yeah,
So,
it'll all tie in. It'll all tie
won't
in.
be long.
We're looking at changing and expanding.
It'll be here in time for the playoffs.
100% in time for the playoffs. Yeah, over the next few weeks, we're just looking at changing a little bit and expanding a little bit and adding some more things to the channel and our Twitters and blah 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 that we've not been doing. So keep your eyes out, and we will keep you posted with it all. If you've got nothing else to add, boys, it's fucking bedtime. It's
Yes, the 4-3, baby.
yeah.
To add on to Mark's point earlier, just since Marcus, 50-50 on whether he's watching or not, I'd just like to apologise for calling you an invalid on Twitter. It was probably harsh.
Who?
That was, but I called Marcus. I may have called Marcus Mariota an invalid last week on Twitter. And he may have said it.
This motherfucker's had 2 apologies this week. No, fuck him.
2 apologies. That is heavy.
Just in case he's watching, I just don't want to associate that comment.
14 times this week, Liam. Will you behave yourself? I've apologized to him. You don't need to apologize to him. He threw the ball 14 times.
But he didn't throw it like an invalid.
14.
He threw it to a person 13 times though. On our team, on our own team.
You have trickled down my estimation.
We got to listen to the invalid.
Brains of this operation, Liam.
That's why I'm dissociating me and the word invalid. That may or may not have come out of my mouth in a moment of anger at Marcus Mariota.
Right.
Before it descends into chaos,
emotional, boys.
I think we'll call it a night. However, Matt has just suggested that has anyone got a beer on them? I have not. I've not even got a water on me tonight. Mark, I've seen you've had a dibble. Well, Mark, that's as close as we can get. Mark's polished a few off.
I
whilst we've been
will.
filming,
I will
so
go and down one now for you.
I will record it and put it on Twitter. Should that suffice? Right, boys. Thank you both, as always, for co-hosting with us tonight. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Drop us a subscribe on YouTube. We're building up by the week at the minute. We're getting content out as often as we can, and these wins are really helping because it makes the shows a lot more fun.
Seventh biggest UK NFL account.
Seventh.
And we're chasing, and for all of our friends across the bond, we are chasing now the Dallas Cowgirls.
We are chasing the Cowgirls. We are.
So imagine if we managed to overtake them.
Just 1 point to add to that, actually. 7th, technically, but the Jets won. Which one's official? Is it the Jags or the Jets? I think the Jags won.
The Jags are number one.
Yeah, but that's an official account ran by the Jags, whereas everyone else is a fan account. So
that's right. Yeah.
So technically, we're 6th. If we're
fuck it, we'll go with 6. As if
we're yeah. Anyway, we'll call it a night. This has gone to madness. Everyone's getting delirious. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will catch you next week.
And thanks to Will again.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Yes. Thanks. Bye.